Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 296. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google Plus and the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. With us tonight we have David Rozan. David, the Mayor of West Sussex, is an internet marketer. He's based on the southern. We're all English today. All of us are.
Except for you. Yes, except for you.
Well, I'm just a higher echelon of Englishness, aren't I? Isn't that how it works?
No, don't think so. You're at the bottom end.
All right. David can be found at writingforseo.org and davidrozan.com. Masataki Wasa is webmaster of wasaweb.net, wasaweb.net. He's also a Google top contributor on the AdSense community. And Tim Capper is CEO of onlineownership.com. He is based in Corby, about 100 miles north of London. And Tim is also a top contributor on the Google My Business community. All right, let's have a look at our questions tonight. I'll just tweet that. Our first one it's titled "How to Optimize My Images." It's from CHIIP. Wasn't sure if this was a one of those things that people post to promote a product, but anyway, we left it there. CHIIP said, "I've been teaching myself SEO for my business, and I'm really lost on how to optimize my images. I'm optimizing them for citations and Yelp and Google My Business, etc. I have just tried a tool called iAutomate. It's recommended by my friend, but I have no idea on how to fill this out. Should I put the keywords in the alt tag and file name? What do I put in the caption? What do you recommend on how to name alt tags and file names? Thanks for your help."
So what you save the product as becomes your file name. So if you save it as image img1234/48, then that becomes your file name, and that's the file name, and that becomes the name or the title depending on what kind of CMS you're using. So ideally, the first point is to save it as what it is. You know, if it's a camping trailer, save it as camping trailer. And if it's the camping trailer, but like, you know, from the side view or the up or the down or whatever. So the main image you're going to use is camping trailers. Then the side view would be camping trailer lid off, camping trailer installed, or camping trailer on site, right? And that becomes the title of it. Your alt tag is essentially there originally for page readers, right? For short-sighted people. So someone that, you know, is looking at obviously and can't quite see what his image is, and they can use their page reader, and it will tell them what that image is based upon your alt thing. So if somebody's reading something and all of a sudden they're short-sighted and it goes camping trailer 2, camping trailer inside camping trailers in London, camping trailers in, you know, it makes no sense. So the alt image, just describe that actual image with a little bit more than what you use on your file name or your title, right? So it's a camping trailer. You can possibly, if it's a color, you can say it's silver, and possibly, you know, you can say silver, black tire, you know, 2 tires or whatever. So give, you know, some, and carries 600 kilos. And then I generally always in my alt is finish off with a hyphen and then the brand name, you know, so whatever the business's brand name is. So that's just basically the gist of it. Now, you said you were using it for citations. Unfortunately, in citation, like you were saying, you know, some of these things, they generally just have a upload to the image, right? And you can't literally do naff all else with citations. So in this instance, make very sure that you have saved that image with a decent file name, right? Because that is all that those other directories and whatever upload on. Very few of them ask you to describe the image. Some do, some don't. If you do, that generally becomes the alt image, but GMB doesn't, for example, and gone are the days where you can actually label an image. So your file name is pretty important because that becomes part of their file name. But apart from that, there's nothing else you can do on images that you upload to site or something like that.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Tim. Anybody else? All right, let's move on to the next. This one is from Cassie Richardson. Cassie said, or it's titled, I know Google doesn't care about exact match. Cassie said that we've mapped out keywords to landing pages based on content/target keywords/volume. Now the client wants to change the page titles, H1s, and everywhere the targeted keyword or topic is used, so it's branded, i.e. KFC chicken sandwich versus chicken sandwich everywhere. I know Google doesn't care about exact match, but I'm wondering if changing the term everywhere to be branded versus non-branded will affect traffic and search volume at all. Has anyone encountered this? Does anyone have an example or a good article you can share? Yeah, that's all she said. I'd like to call out Dave Elliott and Stockbridge Trustlow and Michael Martinez, guys who front up every day and answer questions on the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group, and also Lyndon Nah, who's answering questions over there on the Google Plus SEO Questions group community.
I've not had direct experience of such a request from a client, but I would guess it would probably make bugger all difference, provided that you've got some kind of branding or brand presence throughout the site. Say it's Mr. Bloggs's hamburgers site. I guess, you know, Mr. Bloggs's chicken sandwich and chicken sandwich, you know, there will be still Google will know that this is Mr. Bloggs's brand, so there ought to be ought to rank for Mr. Bloggs's all the product names, I would think, if the SEO has been done properly. So I think it probably wouldn't change much. Yeah.
Thank you, David.
I think that's about as much as I can think of at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think the problem with clients, I mean, if only they would send their checks and stay away, don't you reckon? Life would, I mean, just leave it to us to do the right thing. I mean, I had a feature request from a client just recently, and the feature request, he saw this feature. I won't nominate it because I don't want to end up in an argument, but anyway, he saw this feature on another site, and he wanted it on his. And I said, I think you've already got it. And he said, no, haven't. Anyway, so I didn't have any Wi-Fi where I was, so I couldn't verify it. But anyway, when I could, he's had that feature on his site since 2012. Yeah, like I wish they'd just bugger off and stay away, and just send their checks on time, if only. Anyway, that's my rant. Anybody else?
Yeah, I still don't understand. If they're a brand, then why are they like changing the brand name on like products? Unless it's been explained badly. I think what you need to do is try to understand the rationale behind this. What are they trying to achieve? And then, depending on what they are trying to achieve by this, then to rethink it. Well, I'm guessing it's something similar to a brand selling someone else's brand, but then, yeah, I think you need to understand what they're trying to achieve. There's got to be some reason behind this request. Now, I would try and understand that, what their request is. Like Troslow suggested, and certainly try and understand it. And there may be a better way of achieving this. If you are a brand, you build your business on that brand. If you're now trying to push in another brand that's not your brand, you need to structure it. There's got to be a specific reason, and try and understand what it is. There may be another way, a better way of doing this, rather than going through the all of that and changing all H1s or whatever the case may be. So I really think you should find out what their reasoning behind it is. Because businesses, both large and small, ironically, have a very hard time explaining their own business. I mean, the amount of times I say to someone, right, give me an elevator status on what your business does. Because at the minute, for example, your homepage title goes hire by I'm like, what the fuck is that? Give me an elevator statement on what your business does. And literally half the time, they just can't even suck one out, because I'm like, you've got to know what your business does, mate. How can I help you if you don't understand it? So I think you need to try and understand what they're trying to achieve. There may be a better way of going about it. There may not be. There may be just one of those type of clients that goes, do it this way, and then just do it and repair it afterwards and charge them double.
All right. Okay, let's I should have tweeted that. And let me do that. Oh, yeah, I have tweeted it. Damn. All right, this one from Dante J. Fanari. Dante said, it's titled, Do I Have to Fill the Title and Alt Description for Each Image? Only if you want to become successful, Dante. If you don't want to be successful, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Dante said, using Yoast, how important is it to fill out all the information for each image to hit all the Yoast settings? Or is it simply filling out the keywords you want on the title, description and alt text enough? I see. If anyone has any guides to image SEO, I'd love to see them as well.
Go on. Yeah. So generally in Yoast, your title is your file name. So if you saved it as image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that becomes your file name. You can obviously change it in Yoast, you can edit it, but ideally you would like to file it as a pink fluffy elephant's ass, right? So then when it starts, it's -pink, -fluffy, -elephant, -ass.jpg, right? That typically becomes your title in your image, right? So that's that sorted, job done. Now you need to provide your alt text. Alt text for screen readers is for short-sighted people. And if, for example, you didn't use it in the UK, or you were just, then you're technically discriminating against the disabled. So if you think about it in that way, then what you need to do is, no, don't shove keywords in there. Describe the image for what it was intended for, right? So this is where now you describe the actual image. It's a pink fluffy elephant's ass playing in a pink paddling pool, right? And then hyphen, I'd always tend to brand it because I'm assuming that this is on a business, right? So then you brand it. So then I just do a hyphen with my brand, right? So that's the way you should, use it. Just don't overthink this stuff. So your file name generally becomes your title, and then expand and describe what the actual image is in the alt, and then I normally always end up branding it with a little hyphen on the end. And that's it. Job done, mate. Move on to the next one.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody else?
I guess there's another question inherent in this, which you may or may not be asking, is whether it's important to fill things in at all. Excuse me. And I like to fill them in personally. I try to get my clients to fill them in. I have one client though who has a long-standing e-commerce site, and they have got literally thousands of images without these pieces of information on them, and can be, but not always, fairly meaningless file names. So I think that that's an extreme situation, but I found them a lot more urgent things to do than spend the next 6 months trying to bring their image data up to date. So I think if you're talking about as you're going through the process of adding content to the site, yes, fill them all in as Tim said. If you're if you're having a bit of a worry at the moment that you've got a mature site with loads of image related data not filled in or filled in to a not ideal quality, then, as I say, I wouldn't sweat too much about it. Either that, or get get an intern in, or get a student or something in for the during the holidays, and get them to do all the boring stuff. Yeah, I as I say, it's something that you've got to make a kind of decision about your priorities. It may or may not be relevant to your situation, Dante, but you know, it's something you should think about.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, in that situation, I mean, I've been in the same situation as with David. I mean, I've got a client with the site's pretty much image based. I think the last check, I mean, because they've been adding. So I think last check, I think there were about 5 million images. And there's probably another million by now. But yeah, and to truth be honest, I can't be asked. There's just no way I'm going to go through those images. They would literally have to hire someone full-time to go through that. So the way we dealt with this is, because those images are all associated with a particular page in that sense. And well, I mean, every kind of site's going to be different, but you normally always have one featured image, right? And then there's other images that follow within the page, but you generally have one featured image. So the way we looked at that was just take, you know, as part of a quick tidy up, is take that featured image, save the proper file name, you know, obviously give it a proper title, and then a good description on the in the alt image, and at least that way there's one properly associated image with each page that Googlebot can you know, can figure out what it is, and either display it in the view more images and search results, or actual an image search, and then solve the rest, because that would be literally a full-time job, and who can actually afford to literally employ someone just to sit and do images? It's nonsensical. But of course, moving forward, they do try where, you know, they do where possible add them in. But of course, you know, like any busy company, people forget, and you often come across it. But as long as you've got your feature image for that page properly sorted, you know, but that's in the extreme case, you know, like David and myself have mentioned there. So, you know, needs must. It's not the be all and end of the world.
That's a dash good idea, Tim. Why didn't I think of it? No, don't answer that.
All right, let's go to number 4. We've got this one. This is our penultimate question. Yasin Surti, who looks a lot like Imran Khan, he said, I'm continuously building links, but still no luck. He said, can anyone please share the tricks of SEO with me on how to rank on the first page? Given that nobody's ever asked that question before. He said, I'm continually building links, but not getting ranking on the first page. Go ahead, Tim.
So, Yassine, you're killing me, mate. You're absolutely killing me. Whenever I see I'm continually building links, I just literally, in fact, mate, when I was reading that, I just, you know what I mean? My liver just fell out on the floor, because do you know what I mean? I was like, what do you mean you're continuously building links? Like, from where? What? Are you some like, do you know what I mean? Magician here that you can just, you know, magic up links, building them. So what I'm trying to say to you is, what sort of quality, Yazine, are these links? So let's, for argument's sake, that you built 100 links in the last couple of months. Okay. So for argument's sake, that's quite a lot for, and I don't know how big your site is. I don't know what sort of genre or anything. You haven't provided anything like that. So that's quite a lot for, let's say, a small business. I don't know what you do. And I'm assuming that there is a genre to it, some kind of, now that's quite a lot. With 100 links over the last couple of months, you should be getting yourself a fair bit of traffic from those. Because, and the reason I say that, Yazine, is because you shouldn't be building links just for the willy-nilly of it. Firstly, it's against guidelines. But, and obviously if they're editorial, but the point that I'm trying to make here is you shouldn't be just wasting your time on something that's a link is a link. No, it's not. I would only be bothering with something that's going to benefit you. And quite clearly, you have seen that links don't do enough all. Yes, they help in the long term. If they're in a really great, high authority place, they're visible, they're seen, they're in the right bloody place. And if you're going to build them, spending your time, because I'm assuming you're also writing the article, and then you're spending the time finding someone to publish that article, or I don't know, you might have done a few comments, I don't know, or jumped in a few forums. I don't know what your tactic is for your continuously building links, but those links should be bringing you traffic, because that is what it should be doing. It's not about, because on the flip side, they're literally doing nothing for you, mate. So what I'm trying to say to you is, don't bother with this crap. And if you have the opportunity to put a link somewhere, make sure that it's going to bring you traffic. Have a look at the site, and I'm assuming you're also probably wandering around going, hey, look, there's someone who said he'll publish on a what do they call it? DA. It's a DA 95 site. And you're like, woohoo, yeah. And then it's like, oh, it's going to cost you $100. And you're like, yeah, but it's a DA 95. This is awesome. Yeah, and you chuck it on there, and guess what? Like, not a single visitor. Was it really worth it? Did it do anything for you? So I'm just having a bit of a rant here, mate. You're gonna have to bear with me. So my point is here is you need to look at your site. You need to be producing. You need to analyze what your users, of your site actually want. What are your users searching for? And you need to satisfy that search query in order for those users to come to your site. Then when they're on your site, you need to then present a well-structured, informative, whether it be product, B2B, SaaS, whatever. You need to then present that information to them in a well-structured, easy to read, easy to find, easy to follow, and either to convert, make a purchase, or whatever the intention of the site is. So, willy-nilly flipping links all over the place, you quite clearly have learned mean nothing. And I hope tons of people listen to my rant and go, oh my God, but mind blown. Links don't do that. No, they don't. Thank you.
Is that Siri going off there, Tim?
She's kicking off, mate, because I mentioned Google and she's not happy.
Okay. All right. I think we've covered this one. Does anyone want to say anything else? No? Okay. Let's go to the next. Did I tweet that? So I did. All right, this one is from Marvin Hernandez. It's titled Two Anchor Texts to the Same Keyword. Marvin said, hello everyone. Recently I changed 2 anchor texts to the same keyword on 2 internal pages, and now that the page those links were going to has slipped in the rankings for that keyword. So my question is, should I revert the anchor text back to what they were before or leave them be? Thanks. Cue another rant.
So, firstly, you are assuming that by changing 2 anchor texts on 2 internal pages is the sole reason for those pages slipping, right? Completely putting aside the other 500 or so things algorithmically that search engines look at. So, you know, I quite honestly don't believe that 2 anchor texts on 2 internal pages is going to do anything. If this was like, you know, a 10,000 product site with 2 main categories, 5,000 products each, 5,000 anchor text changed on one particular category, 5,000 anchor text changed on the other category, and then your top line your top line category actually dropped a position or 2, then I'd go, yeah, mate, I think you've done something. But on the flip side is, what was that anchor text? Because ultimately, if you've changed the anchor text and then you're searching for the original anchor text, and it may have dropped in a 5,000 product silo into a category, well, then you must have changed it for a particular reason. And yeah, obviously you changed it to 1 because the other one seems to be more profitable and more relevant, and 1 drops and 1 rises. Then I could go, yeah, you know, because that is a shed load, you know, like 5,000 products. But 2 and 2, I think you need to be a little bit more patient. Yeah, I think two anchor texts on 2 internal pages. Where are the? Yeah, it'd be interesting to know if you could, you know, where do those 2 internal pages position themselves for whatever they are, whether it be a product in that specific, you know, whether that 1 internal product page is pink fluffy elephants, is that internal product page position 1 for that particular product? Or is
the other thing that strikes me, Tim, is, okay, they slipped. What do? Do they slip 2 or 3 positions? And, you know, in which case, so what? Or has it dropped 5 pages? A lot of people get very worried by
and also
the usual toings and froings of rankings.
The other good thing is, were those recent publications, were they recently put on the site within like a month, and then you decided within that month when, you know, and then you changed it, or within the space of a month? Because you might be looking at a little bit of a honeymoon period. You know, the first initial publication of something tends to go up, and then it's not always evergreen. And then as Googlebot figures out where it should really be positioned, then it drops down slightly. So yeah, you know, the length of time also.
Yeah.
I agree with you totally. I can't see that changing something as small and potentially insignificant as keywords on 2 internal links on 2 internal pages are going to have anything fundamentally powerful to do with the rankings. But as I say, I would dearly like to know what the slippage was.
Yeah.
and if in the meantime they've come up again.
Okay. All right. If there's no more things to discuss, I think we should close this meeting, adjourn till next week. All right, it is. Thank you for watching time. So we have done it again, and we've answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google Plus and the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. By the way, for those people still watching and those that will watch later, thank you. Thank you for your interest. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. And for that, we are truly grateful. All right.